Welcome back to the Kane and Day Show. I am your host, Kane, and you can find me on Twitter at Kane2406, on YouTube at Kane06, and TikTok and Twitch at Kane0624. I'm going to kick it over to my co-host here, and then we'll introduce our very special guest, and we'll get underway with our mock draft, first and final of the year. Go ahead, tell them who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Day. You can find me on Twitter at RealDayGaming1. Follow the show on Twitter, the Kane and Day Show.
Just do it, guys.
And we do have a guest.
We do have a guest. Our mock draft resident expert. Go ahead and tell them who you are.
Coach Red. You can find me on Twitter at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real _ Coach Red, or on YouTube at Kicking It with Coach Red.
Yeah, you know, this guy over here has done, 4 mock drafts, and this week will be 5?
Yep.
All right.
5 this week.
Well, today, we got some pretty interesting news, which kind of threw us for a loop for a minute. Aaron Rodgers is now a New York Jet, and Zach Wilson is going to make, quote unquote, that guy's life a living hell. So
No, it's not.
I know. I know.
Aaron Rodgers, lock up your mom.
Oh, man.
Cougar hunting. It's in season.
Yeah. It's good work out of him.
But we decided, we thought we needed to get a mock draft episode out. I mean, we did one last year. I feel like we're better prepared this year because I've done a couple mocks with Coach Red. And so this is kind of off me and Dave's personal opinions. I think it's going to be a lot better than last year's draft. Last year we got 1 out of 32. So we're shooting for better odds this year.
What? Was it our only one?
It was Aiden.
Yeah.
It was Aiden Hutchinson going number 1.
Well, now I have it saved, so it's a lot easier to hopefully keep track of it.
But what we're going to do today is me and Ben will go back and forth on the picks, and Coach Red here is going to give us his takes on our picks, see if he likes them, see if he dislikes them, give us his honest opinions. So, starting now, we have the Carolina Panthers on the clock. And we have come to a decision that CJ Stroud is out, and they are going to take arguably the best quarterback in this draft in Bryce Young. He has been stated to be the best quarterback in this draft. Best talent, best arm, all of that jazz. I think he goes number 1. Frank Reich needs a good quarterback, and I think he's going to get him with Bryce. What do you think, Day?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bryce's upside is higher than CJ. And, I mean, CJ can be the next Justin Fields, but I just think Bryce Young's the better option. He's more ready.
I agree. Coach Red.
More polished, definitely trending that way the last week and a half. So, team in the Panthers that have been looking for a starting quarterback since the downward trend of Cam Newton gets their guy in the first round.
I like it.
I think you guys are going to be 1 for 1. You're starting off strong.
I hope so. Now this is everywhere where it goes downhill.
Yeah. This is where the downslide happens.
Who's picking a kicker at number 2?
All right, Taco, calm down.
Hey, I in my fantasy football league always took Justin Tucker in the 5th round. Don't at me.
It's a good pick.
Next up is the Texans. Well, yeah, but I got roasted for it. But with the Texans, they need more than just one spot. They need help at a lot of spots. We picked Will Anderson.
Yeah, as he said, they need Jesus.
Yeah, there's a couple teams on this list that need Jesus, but we have Will Anderson going to the Texans because they need help. They need defense. Davis Mills didn't do that bad last year.
I agree with this pick. They do need a quarterback. They also need that dominant presence on the line, and Will Anderson gives that to him. the one thing that they've been struggling a lot with, I mean, besides everything, has been defensive, especially the defensive front. They get put a lot of runs on the board, and they get scored on
baseball.
Constantly. Touchdowns. Sorry, all right? And I think with Will Anderson, this gives them the defensive, up front presence that they really, really need. Coach Red, what are your opinions on this?
Good pick. Gives defensive-minded head coach D'Amico Ryans a guy that can come in and really anchor that defense for, half a decade. Really a guy that he can tie his wagon to. Production's high in college. I think that he's 6 more sacks than any of his counterparts coming out in the draft in the last 2 years.
Alrighty. Pick number 3.
2 for 2.
We're going down to Arizona, and you're going to like this pick, Coach. They're going to take Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern. They need to protect Kyler, and I think Skoronski is the best tackle in this draft. And I believe he's versatile. You can put him anywhere on the line. So they really, really need to protect Kyler. Don't want any more freak accident injuries happening to him. Or at least getting sacked and running around, as Day would say, like a toddler. Day, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just think Kyler needs help.
Yeah.
They need defense help too, but that O-line's gotta start from there.
It's not good. They don't have a good O-line. And it shows they start off strong in that first half, and then in that second half of the season, it just goes downhill. So, Coach Red, what do you got? Uh-oh.
Oh, he's back.
We're good.
All right.
I'm just happy. So I had a witness this time.
Coach Red, what are your thoughts on Peter Skoronski going number 3?
Don't love it at 3. Obviously, this is a big trade back spot right now with 3 quarterbacks still on the board. Pick your poison if you're a team trying to move up. If this pick is 7-11 and Skoronski's coming off the board to the Cardinals, I like it. If they're going to stay put here, I would probably lean on the defensive side of the ball. You bring in Gannon out of Philly as a defensive guy. Give him a guy to really anchor a defense too. And I think that there's still 2 guys with high upside that you could go with that give you more value, because I'm not sold that Skoronski's going to be playing tackle in the NFL, and pick number 3 would be awfully high for a guard.
All right, who you taking at 4 there, Day?
Oh, no, he's frozen again.
No, I'm not. I'm here.
There we go. All right, for pick 4, we have the Colts taking Will Levis.
I love this pick.
I just heard a lot about Indy really liking him. I personally don't like him, but that's just me. I'm not the one who's going to have him be my quarterback. So
I love Will Levis here. Indy's been in need of a quarterback, and they need to stop getting veteran quarterbacks. It's not worked out. Every quarterback that they trade for, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, has not worked out for them. And they need this young talent that they can kind of sculpt into what they really need. And I think Will Levis is the guy. He's got tremendous arm talent. Then most of the scouts compare him to Josh Allen. So I really like Colts taking Will Levis here. Coach Red?
With this Colts pick, it seems like they're pretty high on him. It's either how they truly feel or a great smokescreen on trying to get someone to jump to go get Levis so they can take Stroud. I've heard that if Stroud and Levis are on the board that they would probably still take Levis. But welcome to this time of year where everyone's not showing their cards. You're holding it so tight to the vest. Typically you're not going to hear guys getting downgraded right now. So usually you hear those guys like, oh yeah, this is their pick. I mean, I've seen so many contradictory things about so many picks in the last couple of days. Like, this person's the number 1 guy on their board. Oh, this guy's off their board completely. So I like the pick because I've been hearing similar rumors.
All right. At pick 5, we go up to the Pacific Northwest, and the Seahawks are going to go interior line, and they're taking Jalen Carter. It's a no-brainer, honestly. As scouts have said, he is the best defensive player in this draft, especially interior lineman. And he was an absolute unit at Georgia. Yes, he's had some off-the-field things happen, but Pete Carroll and John Schneider both love a dude that's been in trouble. I mean, look at Bruce Irvin back in the day. He had some questionable things, still took him, and he turned out to be a great success in the Seattle franchise. So Jalen Carter is the definite pick here. Day, what are your thoughts?
I like it. I always like a good defensive lineman at a high pick. They can be a franchise player.
They really need it.
Like Ndamukong Suh, or now with Aiden, it helps. You got to put pressure on the quarterback. If he doesn't have time, it's great.
Coach, what do you think about this pick for the Seahawks?
I don't like your comparison to Bruce Irvin's off-the-field troubles. His was he kicked a Jimmy John sign off of a car. That's just pure athleticism. That was like a this is one of those picks that I've seen with a bunch of people saying he's not getting past the Seahawks and other people saying that he's completely off the board. I think the Malik McDowell experience is still kind of ringing in that front office ears. So I think that this is a real big turning point in the draft because you have 2 quarterbacks still on the board. Todd McShay said that today, and some of the things he's hearing, he would be surprised if the Seahawks don't come out of the first round without a quarterback. So that's either going to happen at so a lot of intrigue around this pick.
All right. Dave, give us the next one.
Now, I have a feeling I know where you're going to go with that. Or you're not going to agree with this pick. I know that for a fact. We have the Lions taking Dalton Kincaid out of Utah because it's a Lions thing to do.
I agree. I agree with this pick. Go ahead.
Eric Ebron 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, they took Eric Ebron, then they went out and got Hawkinson, and now they're going to go another tight end, kind of staple guy. Kind of need the help now that Jameson Williams is suspended for 6 games, and you're getting a big bruiser here. So, Coach Red, thoughts?
Health is a concern for me going this high for a tight end his stature. I probably would have rolled the dice on best tight end available at 18, if that's all right. You guys are going to go here. The upside is there, but he just recently got a clean bill of health and struggled with injuries at Utah. So at pick 6 with some top tier defensive talent still on the board, a little rich for my blood, but I mean, they've done it before.
They have.
Ebron, Hawkinson.
The list goes.
Ebron was at 10.
Those were different regimes, though.
That's true.
Different regimes.
And
it's still a Lions thing to do.
The Detroit Dannies.
Is he a knee biter?
hey, Dan Campbell's gonna love him, right? He's gonna love him when he walks into that locker room. All right, pick number 7. We have the Las Vegas Raiders taking Anthony Richardson out of Florida. I know that there have been reports saying that they're not going to take a quarterback. But here's the thing. Anthony Richardson is kind of like clay, and you can sculpt him into how you want him to be. And I think if you have a great teacher in Jimmy G, and this is going to be a better experience than the Trey Lance experience. I can tell you that right now. This team needs a quarterback after Jimmy G, and I think that Anthony Richardson is the key. So, Dave, tell us what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think they need a good backup. I know that the backup they have, I can't remember his name. He won that game against the Niners.
Jarrett Stidham.
Yep. He's been in the McDaniels system for a long time, but maybe it's just time to get somebody new for the future because Jimmy's not going to be there forever.
All right, Coach Red. Oh no, am I frozen again?
Not anymore.
Coach Red, give us your thoughts.
The CJ Stroud slide is real for you guys. I think that he's probably a little bit more pro ready. And with the health concerns you have with Jimmy G, Stroud might be the safer pick for getting on the field sooner because Richardson is going to need some time to develop. But Joshy Boy McDaniels did have Cam Newton in his later years in New England, wanted to run that run heavy style. It's something they wanted to do for a while, but when you've got the GOAT on your team, you can't do that. He's not too fleet of foot, Mr. 7 rings Tommy.
Alrighty. Day, hit us with Atlanta's pick.
Pick 8 with Atlanta. We have him taking Jackson Smith Njigba.
In
Did I say
Jigba.
it?
Yep.
We think, well, at least I do, he would be a great tag team with London Drake and Kyle Pitts when he's healthy. And it gives Desmond Ridder, as much as I don't like him either, options to throw to, not just London.
I agree with this pick. Jackson Smith and Jigba, as we've talked about on Kicking It, has had he missed last year, but he's got tremendous upside. And most of these Ohio State receivers that come out are usually superstars. I mean, you look at Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and, just all of the wide receivers that they've had come out. They've done really, really well. And I think this is just another notch on their belt with Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think it's going to make this team a lot better. Coach Red, what are your thoughts?
I think that wide receivers not as pressing of a need for Atlanta as it seemed to be when the offseason started. Them trading for Jonnu Smith, I think, allows you to play Kyle Pitts more in a slot role as a big wide receiver type to actually get him out there and running. I'm concerned about that defense. Granted, they've done things like get Calais Campbell, making the trade for Jeff Okudah, but this is a team that has had 32 sacks combined the last 2 years. It's bad, and with you've got some big name edge rushers still on the board here. I would look to pair somebody with Grady Jarrett, give him a true running mate that he has not had since Vic Beasley in his 1 year of 17 sacks.
Yeah. At pick 9, we have Chicago taking Paris Johnson Jr., tackle out of Ohio State. Justin Fields needs protection, and this team...
You should have got him a USC Trojan if he needs protection.
I was gonna make it up.
Oh, that's good. That's good. But here's the big thing. Justin Fields runs for his life more than any quarterback I feel like in the league. And what's the key to stopping that? Oh, beefing up your O-line. And Paris Johnson here, if he was there when Justin Fields was there, it's just a reunion. So I really like this pick here. They really need to do more on their offensive line side because you can't win games if your quarterback doesn't stay upright. So those are my 2 cents. Day, what do you got for me?
I mean, Justin Fields averaged, 130 yards rushing last year? How many of those were because he was scrambling?
I want to say mostly all of them. So
you need the O-line to give him a chance. Just a chance. Because if you're down by 10, you're not going to win that game.
No.
With him scrambling all the time, hoping he can get out of bounds.
Yeah. Coach Red?
I'm shocked with some of the love in the league right now on Justin Fields. I think he's still proving things to the league. I've seen him consistently being called a top 5 quarterback in the NFC right now, which just shows you the state of the quarterback play there. But I think this is a smart pick on multiple reasons because I think this is a big prove-it year for Justin Fields. If he doesn't come out and show that he's the starter, he can get flipped to a different team, but you're building the infrastructure so you can insert another quarterback if needed, or this can be the jumping off point for Fields.
All right. Hit us with that pick 10.
God, I got all the tough names to say. I'm not even gonna attempt it. It is Cansey, the D lineman from Pittsburgh. I
Man, you guys are going wild here.
That's
yeah.
what
We
we
like
do
to
here at
keep
the
you on
K
your
Today
toes.
show. All right.
Keep you on your toes. Riddick needs help. Not help, but a good, like you were saying with the Falcons, like a good running mate just coming off both edges, I think would benefit the Eagles.
I've been seeing Kalijah Cansey fly up boards left and right, and I
He didn't
think,
have any pre-draft visits. Zero.
yeah, I know, but I've been seeing him fly up boards, and we have had lots of love for him in all of our mocks, but I think this is a perfect pick for Philadelphia. He is an absolute animal in that interior line, and I think it really helps them with that run defense. So, Coach Red, what do you got for me?
I think this could be a good spot with CJ Stroud still on the board that you might see people try to move up a little bit. I wouldn't mind taking Kalijah Cansey a little bit later in the first. But a big trend that I see from you guys for with your top 10 picks, why do you guys hate corners so much? This is a pretty healthy corner class and none going in the top 10.
Uh,
Me personally, I don't like drafting them up there because it's easier to sign one that's proven instead of someone who did it well in college, and you don't know how that's going to translate. You can never guarantee it.
right.
Like Okuda, it took him 3 years of fighting injuries, and I mean he was pick 3 in 20, and he got one good year before he got sent to Atlanta. So
For a fifth,
that for
That's true.
I just don't like picking them that high. You get lucky with a guy like Sauce Gardner, but most of them don't end up being that.
All right. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. Pick 11. We're going to Tennessee. We have them taking Broderick Jones out of Georgia. Another thing, their offensive line needs help. I've been seeing that Derrick Henry might not be there. So you're losing out on one of the most dominant running backs in the league. If that happens, Ryan Tannehill's names are coming up in trades. Looks like it's going to be Malik's year. You really, really need to protect the quarterback, or at least get some pressure to allow you to run the ball. And this team really slid last year with Ryan Tannehill going down, and it didn't look good. They got a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and I think they need to bolster their offensive line. So, Day, what do you got for me?
I mean, if Derrick Henry does not come back, this team's in danger. But at least building off an O line that had him lead the league in rushing, or pretty close to it, 2 years ago.
And not to mention
Uh,
they did release Taylor Lewan, so they need to replace him.
yeah, but I mean, that O line, like the Cowboys, what 4 or 5 years ago, it was incredible a couple years ago, and I just don't understand how it can fall so quickly. But it's a quick rebuild, I think, and they can get back to where they want to with the running game, even without Derek.
Yeah, Coach Red, what are your thoughts on this? Oh no, Coach Red.
good. No Andre Dillard love. They signed him to a 3-year deal. This is a team that I think has a lot of potential to move up for a quarterback. I did see on Bleacher Report an interesting trade idea for them moving up to pick 3 and getting pick 3 and DeAndre Hopkins while giving up pick 11 and a couple of first rounders, because Tannehill's not long for the team. And I think that I'm surprised CJ Stroud wasn't the pick here, because I think he's the exact opposite of Malik Willis. Malik Willis looked like he was not ready to be on an NFL field, and I think that CJ Stroud is a little bit more pro ready and could be inserted into a starting lineup. So not having to move and still getting a quarterback at 11 that has potential to be the first QB off the board, that would probably be a little bit too enticing for me if I was sitting in the war room for the Titans.
So we didn't have them taking a quarterback there because we thought they didn't give Malik a fair chance last year.
Yeah.
I think that when they decided that they were going to roll out Josh Dobbs in lieu of Malik Willis, that kind of showed me everything that I needed to see about how they felt in his progression.
Oh, I agree with you. I thought Malik is not a pro quarterback, but I still don't think they gave him a fair chance.
I mean,
Even like the play calls against the Chiefs was just horrendous.
The first 3 starts, he had a combined total, I want to say, of 30 pass attempts.
Like I just don't think they gave him a chance. But that's just me. I don't think he's pro ready. I agree with you on that. I just don't think he got a fair chance.
Yeah. All right, hit us with pick number 12. Going back to Houston.
This is where CJ comes off the board.
God, they would just be loving life right now if it played out this way.
It's all about creativity, and that's what we bring here is creativity, because it's something you just never know what's coming next.
Yeah, I do like this pick here. From reports I've seen, Stroud is going to fall in this draft. A lot of teams have not been grading him well, especially in the second round of visits. This is a really good jump start because you have Davis Mills. And we all know Davis Mills is not very good, and they need a quarterback that's going to actually somewhat succeed. And they have decent pieces on offense. And I mean, you just signed, what's his name? Lermy Tunsil.
Woods.
Well, yeah, and they also re-signed Lermy Tunsil, their big unit on their O-line, to a massive deal. So this is where you take a quarterback, in my opinion. Coach Red, what are your thoughts?
I think this would be a good get for him. I think that there's a lot of smoke going around CJ Stroud right now, trying to push him down boards. I think this is probably a ploy for some people to make the move to go get him. If he falls into their laps right here, I think that, coupling him with Will Anderson is bananas.
Yeah.
The dream.
All right. Pick number 13.
Wow, they about found Jesus.
Pick number 13.
The only team on this board.
It's true. Pick number 13, you have the Green Bay Packers. We have them taking Michael Mayer, tight end out of Notre Dame. They need a playmaker. Along with losing Aaron Rodgers, it's now Jordan Love time. Pairing him up with Romeo Doubs, and I forget the other guy's name.
Christian Watson.
Yeah, Christian Watson. I think this offense is going to look a little different, and especially because they still have A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. I really like this pick here. Day, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame farms tight ends. They are the factory for them. I think being able to get him and give Jordan Love another option to pass to and can help in the blocking, I like the pick.
Coach Red, what's your expertise opinion here?
I want the Packers to just give the biggest middle finger to Aaron Rodgers on the way out, draft a wide receiver in the first round.
Oh, that'd be hysterical.
Well, the last time they did, I looked this up today. 2002 was the last time they took a wide receiver in the first round. The iPhone wasn't out yet. Just would be so great since he's been pining for it. And, they've taken, running backs in the second round. They've taken his replacement in the first round and not given him a first round talent wide receiver. So I think it would just be just so funny if they just okay, we're going to take one of the wide receivers right here.
I love to see it. All right, Day.
14, we have the Patriots taking Nolan Smith out of Georgia. Because anybody on that Georgia defense is lights out. At least at the collegiate level, I think that would fit a Bill Belichick defensive scheme fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like how Alabama was the last 10 years. Anybody from that defense, you have confidence in.
Right. I also really like this pick here. I wanted to go cornerback. Day talked me out of it because I know that Belichick likes to work from the back, and I really think that they need another dominant edge rusher like they've had in years past. So Nolan Smith here just makes sense. Coach Red, what are your thoughts?
I like the player profile for Nolan Smith. Was injured last year, but was seen as the heart of that defense that is just pumping guys into the league. I think his comparable would be Trayvon Walker, who went number one overall last year. Um, what I don't necessarily love is that he plays the same position as Matthew Judon, as kind of that rush linebacker type in a 4-3 or 3-4. So I think that could make it a little bit tougher to get him reps early on. But from what he's done at the combine, at the pro day, and what you've seen on the field, I think that the tools are there for him to be a very successful pro.
Like to hear it. All right, at pick number 15, we have the New York Jets selecting Darnell Wright, tackle out of Tennessee. You just got your quarterback now for 2 years, and you really need that tackle help. And this is the guy you got to take. I mean, he protected Hendon Hooker very well until the injury, and then
Are you putting it all on him?
Somewhat.
He did great until he let Hendon Hooker's knee fall apart.
Yeah, they were only like the number one team in the country.
Yeah, just for a little bit. I do like this pick though. You're gonna protect.
Great talk. Okay,
You're gonna protect Aaron Rodgers, especially getting Breece Hall back, and you have Garrett Wilson, one of the most electrifying young wide receivers in the league. So you're gonna look at this offense, and it's gonna be a lot better in the coming years. Day.
Yeah, I think with a tackle, going with a tackle here, it helps Aaron stay up. We've seen past Packer teams let him get hit, and he got hurt and missed significant time. They don't want that to happen. Go out and get an offensive lineman and make sure he's healthy.
I agree. Coach Red.
I think it's a good spot because you have Mekhi Becton, who I don't think they're going to pick up the fifth-year option, so this will be the last year of his deal, kind of that prove-it deal here. And Dwayne Brown is somehow still like walking around the league with his walker with the tennis balls on the end of it, in between the weeks. So I think that getting a guy that you can plug and play at tackle and potentially let Elijah Vera Tucker maybe make the move out to tackle as well next year, because he was kind of seen as a guard tackle when he came into the league and the Jets traded up for him. So I could see them potentially making that transition to 2 new starting tackles either this year or next.
All right.
And for the Redskin, wow.
Oh.
Wow. Commanders. I should have just called them the football team. For the Commanders, we also have another tackle. We have Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma. Do they even have a clue of who their starting quarterback is?
Yes, it is.
He was drafted last
Howell.
year. Yeah.
Oh, Sam Howell. Godspeed. I just think it's a point of emphasis to help the O-line and get Brian Robinson more gaps and help him out in the long run.
Yeah, they really need something here because am I frozen again? What the hell?
No, you're good.
All right. They really need the help, like you was saying. You have Scary Terry, and he's considered one of the better wideouts in the league. And when your quarterback can't stay upright or has to run for his life and can't hit said target, I mean, you just really need the help. Coach Red, what are your opinions?
I think that them getting the starting right tackle from the Chiefs, following Eric Bieniemy over there, Andrew Wiley, I think kind of fills that hole a little bit. I would probably look more towards the secondary, especially the corner position, because they went after, William Jackson from the Bengals a few years ago and ended up cutting bait after a year and a half. So I think getting a young corner on this team to go with Kendall Fuller, I think would be a big move. And with their pick of the litter for corner, I'd probably lean there since I feel like I think it's like Morgan Moses and Andrew Wiley would be your bookend tackles right now. So I feel decent about that. And I would try to go stop some offenses because you're going to have some good ones in the NFC East this year.
I agree. All right, pick number 17, going to Pittsburgh, and I think you'll like this pick. First cornerback is taken off the board, Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. I think he's the best talent in this draft, especially at the corner position, and they've had a very long string of having great defensive players, and I think this is just going to add another notch in Pittsburgh's great history, especially under Mike Tomlin's reign. I mean, the team has been a 500 team since he took over, and it's been mostly with their defensive play as well. So, Day, what do you got?
Yeah, I just think it really just boosts their defense to another level. We were flip-flopping between Devin and Christian from Oregon. I've seen him get burnt one too many times for my liking, but we went with Devin.
Throw up that
it's
O,
a good. I think if he ends up playing well, good compliment to Devin Bush and T.J. Watt. If they both can stay healthy as well, it'll really help out the outside.
I believe that Devin Bush is on the Seahawks. No?
Did he? That's crazy. I'm really, doing great.
Yeah. Coach Red, what are your thoughts?
I like the physicality that Witherspoon brings to the game, and I think that would play very well in cold weather environment like Pittsburgh can be. I think that he gives you the prototypical size that you're looking for, but this guy is very sticky in man coverage, and I've watched some highlights on him, and he will lay hat in the run game. I think this is a Steelers type pick through and through.
Love to hear it. All right. Give us pick 18, Ben.
Pick 18, you're going to like this one too. It is Brian Branch out of Alabama.
Yeah. Whoa.
Oh, I skipped it.
This is Detroit, my guy.
It's late, all right? I've been up for a while. It's late. Miles Murphy out of Clemson goes to the Lions because they need someone to help Aiden on the other side, throw him on the other side, and that defense was good last year. It frees Aiden a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. You need another running mate, and I think that those two are going to wreak havoc to opposing offenses. So, Coach Red, what do you got for us? Oh, no.
That he brings, and I think that with Romeo Aquaro coming back off injury too, having a good rotation I think will be key here. With the Brian Branch, I was like, you guys got Kirby Joseph. I feel pretty good about him. I don't think we need Brian Branch in Detroit right now. I think there's a few other spots we could go, but I do like the pick, Miles Murphy here.
Tampa, though, needs Brian Branch. That's who they're taking. As we've talked time and time again, Tampa is trying to roll out the same defense over and over and over and over and over and over again ever since the Super Bowl win. I think you need to start new, and Brian Branch is the best safety in this draft, and he absolutely was a menace at Alabama. So they really need that strong guy out in the middle of the field, and I think Brian Branch is really the answer here. Day, what do you got?
Yeah, I think it helps their secondary with Sean Murphy Bunting on the corner, just to play that center field that you said.
Yeah. It's going to be a huge get for them. Coach Red, what are your thoughts?
I think it might be a little bit of reach right now. I know that in our early mocks we kind of looked at it, but he's been sliding a little bit. It's tough to really say where the Bucs are going to go as a whole right now because they're not really going full rebuild after Tom by going and getting, a guy that has first round pedigree in Baker Mayfield and did some pretty all right things for the Rams. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits down there. But the Bucks are one of the bigger wild cards for me in the first round.
All right. Give us pick 20. I don't know how you're going to feel about this one.
We'll see.
Why did we even do that?
I think we were being silly.
No, I'm actually. Why did we do that? It's Quentin Johnston from TCU.
Yeah, they need a guy to burn everybody, and I think you could really slot somebody on the Seahawks in the slot, and the D. Eskridge experiment's not really working. So I think you need to get another solidified third guy, especially if this team wants to continue the hopes of playoff football. I think you need a really solid offense, and I think Quentin Johnston gives you that. Coach Red?
I don't like it.
Well, now that I'm looking back at it,
yeah,
I don't know why we did that either.
It was early, all right?
Yeah, the reason I don't like it necessarily is I've been seeing it's Jackson Smith and Jigba as clear-cut wide receiver 1, and then wide receiver 2, 3 has kind of been Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers type area, and Johnson's kind of been falling, especially when you look at a little bit more positions of a little bit more need for the Seahawks. I think that the value in getting like a Christian Gonzalez here would be huge, big, tall, athletic, fits the profile of a Pete Carroll defense. Lucas Van Ness still being on the board, and even Bijan Robinson with really only DJ Dallas and Kenneth Walker on this team. I think that wide receiver 3, if Jackson Smith and Jigba here is a home run hit, Johnson's a reach for me. I've been seeing him getting more and more mocked in the second round.
All right. So, pick 21, we're going to the Los Angeles Chargers, and they are going to take Bijan Robinson out of Texas, because right now you're kind of in the air on Austin Eckler, and this is a guy that can do it all for you. Kind of, he's a faster Eckler, that's for sure.
Bigger.
Yeah, so I think that it's clear cut that the Chargers take this running back here. Day, give us a little insight on your favorite team.
I like the pick because, like you said, with Eckler, you don't really know if he's going to stay past this year. Give him a chance to learn under somebody who has been a running back in the league for a few years. And the only downside is I don't think he will have as many catches as Eckler did, and that was a big part of the Charger offense last year.
I agree. Coach Red.
Yeah, I like this pick a lot. It's been a popular spot for me for him to fall. Just the overall talent. He's probably the most hyped guy since Saquon. I think that he has the ability to do a lot in the pass game, and I think that with Eckler probably still being on the team, you're going to see a lot of the earlier, like Melvin Gordon, Austin Eckler type of dynamic, where I think you'll see Bijan probably a little bit more on some of those earlier downs or 2-minute drills. That's going to be Eckler territory. But talk about a guy that's going to be able to go beast in and vulture some scores for all Austin Eckler, who's a big fantasy dude, like vulture some of his scores. Bijan would be the guy to do that. And I think that it's giving you the fifth-year option, I think, is really huge, because I think that you do need a very competent running game with the health of Mike Williams never being perfect and Keenan Allen getting older. I think that this is a key spot to make sure that you keep weapons around Herbert while he's still progressing to what he's going to be in the NFL.
Baby goat.
He is the baby goat. He will be better than Tom Brady.
Oh!
You're here first!
I've been saying that since he got drafted.
That's true.
Do I actually mean it? No, I don't. Tom Brady's Michigan guy, of course. with the 22nd pick, we have the Ravens taking Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. They need help.
Big
He
help.
helps them. Yeah, they need. He can be a shutdown guy.
I mean,
But I have also seen him get burnt. So
let's look at their defense last year. How many big leads did they give up? Too many for my blood.
I think 3, 4
3
21-point leads.
3 to 4.
And
Give or take.
Multiple score leads, too.
Yeah, and that's the big
Yeah.
thing is they need help on that defensive side, and you need a shutdown corner, and Christian Gonzalez can be that, especially if you get the right defensive coach around him. So, Coach Red, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, they do. They've got the guy from Michigan is still running the D out there from 2 years ago. Harbaugh stealing from Harbaugh. I like this pick a lot, especially with Marcus Peters, with him being a free agent still, I believe, not on the team. A guy to go across from Marlon Humphreys. And then you still have, God, drawing a blank on his name right now. Kyle Hamilton, the safety, who's got a lot of versatility. I think that with Christian Gonzalez, he's probably the most scheme versatile corner with the highest ceiling. He's fluid in his man coverage, but excels in the zone type coverage. So I think that with a team like the Ravens who will run those multiple defenses, I think this is a bang up pick for him.
All right. Pick 23, we're going to the good old state of Minnesota. They're going to take Deontay Banks out of Maryland. I think they really need cornerback help because they're another team that I don't see stopping teams, especially with the rise of Detroit, and who knows what the Packers are going to be and what the Bears are going to be this year. But they really need to stop some offenses, and they should go for a cornerback in Deontay Banks this year. Day, what do you got?
Yeah, even though the Packers might not be all that, the Bears are something. The Lions will be without Jameson Williams, but there's still good receivers in the division, and picking up a corner solves that kind of.
Kind of. Coach Red.
Well, he's only one guy. You can't stop all the receivers.
That's true.
I probably would have went along the line here, especially with them losing Dalvin Tomlinson. They picked up Byron Murphy, who can give you some cornerback play. It's like, hey, were you an Arizona Cardinal before? Patrick Peterson, come on over. Byron Murphy, come on over. I think that it's a good play because Banks is the highest athletic score out of any of the corners, and he's been a riser as well. And with them cutting the cord on Dantzler, I think that corner is definitely a spot. With how your guys' board played out, I probably would have targeted this in the second round because I think that there are probably 7 or so corners that I could see going in the first 2 rounds that could be playing meaningful snaps for whatever team drafts them.
All right.
Pick 24, Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. And it's again just another good spot to take him, in my opinion. The Iowa defense was great. He was obviously a part of that. I just think he would fit well within that defense.
I mean, you had Walker take him with the first pick last year, and he kind of flopped. So go with a guy who is going to actually wreak some havoc and maybe give him some help. With this Jacksonville team, they were pretty good last year, but I think their defense fell apart for most of those games that they lost. And I think they really need to get some more pressure on a quarterback. So I really like this pick here, Coach Red.
This is one of those other teams I think is kind of tough because they've got a good foundation in place. You have Trayvon Walker. You have Brian Burns on this team. Is it Brian Burns? No, that's Carolina. They have another guy that they drafted, Josh Allen, the edge player. So I think that you, with Luckily with Van Ness, he can slot a little bit more inside. He has a build similar to JJ Watt, where I think he can play has inside outside versatility a little bit. So I think this could be a good spot. But this is another one where it's kind of a wild card for me on where they're going to go in their progression, in their team building. But they took that big step forward last year and started to see those pieces put together. So I think that really any young talent they put on this team, Doug Peterson has proven in 1 year that he is a very solid coach and just kind of got the short end of the stick at Philly and shows that he can turn around a team and is a pretty good team building coach.
I agree with that. All right, pick number 25. We're going to the New York Giants. They're going to go wide receiver, and they're taking Jordan Addison. You just locked up Danny Nichols for a couple of years, and you need some more help. They had pretty stellar wide receiver play here and there last year, and there was a lot of guys that you didn't really know the name of. Got rid of Kadarius Toney, but Sterling Shepard's still there, and I believe they had another guy just come out of the woodworks that actually was decent.
Slayton.
Yeah, and so they are going to go with another star guy here, and I think Jordan Addison is the move. He was really good at USC, and Daniel Jones is somewhat competent at the quarterback position, and you're going to see him have a good year. So, Dave, what are your thoughts?
Daniel Jones being competent. I don't like Daniel Jones either, but with Sterling Shepard, I mean, he's good, but he can't stay on the field. Uh, Kadarius Toney was a bust for them. Obviously, he did well with Kansas City, but with the Giants, he did not turn out well. They really haven't had good luck there at that position. So hopefully they could roll the dice and get a star.
Yeah, Coach Red.
I do think that they need pass catchers because Sterling Shepard and Slayton are both realistically slot guys for me. And the one thing I kind of like about Addison, if I were going to profile him to a current NFL player, I think he's kind of like a Michael Thomas because he doesn't have the raw athletic ability that you see out of some of these top end guys. But this dude was a Blitnikoff winner 2 years ago at Pitt with Kenny Pickett, played really well with Caleb Williams. And just because his testing numbers are down, there's some guys that outplay that with their play. I think he can gain short separation, has good hands, like you saw with Michael Thomas before the injury bug hit him. And I think that it gives you a different dynamic in the wide receiver room that I don't think that the Giants currently have.
All right, get us with pick 26.
Pick 26. The Dallas Cowboys take Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State. And we think that adding him, who I believe had pretty good ratings coming out of the board, um, just really helps the secondary out in Dallas.
This is a total Dallas pick here. You're gonna match him up with Trayvon Diggs, and like their defense has been so good, and why not just keep adding more pieces, especially if you want to be competitive in that NFC East division. So, Coach Red, what are your opinions?
This one's a little bit tough for me because with Dan Campbell being down there, he primarily runs cover three. And where Joey Porter Jr. excels is in man coverage comparative to zone. I think that there's a couple of guys that are out there that I think would be good complements for this team because I think they can still go get a guy that plays a little bit more zone in the second round. I think that a guy kind of shooting up boards, Jameer Gibbs, would be a good complement to go with Tony Pollard coming off injury here, or potentially getting Zay Flowers because their wide receiver room is a little bit of a mess, and I think that them trying to save a few bucks and dealing Amari Cooper for a fifth, we're going to try and do the same thing. Like, oh, we'll take on uh, Brandon Cooks for a fourth. Like, come on, you had an elite guy that's still putting up big numbers, and you shipped him out for nothing to try and get salary cap relief, and it didn't pan out too well for him last year. But the one thing I do think that makes this pick super intriguing, Jerry Jones loves the name recognition, and with the name Joey Porter, I think that's a big get for what Jerry likes to do in his drafting process.
All right, pick 27. We're going to Buffalo. They're also taking a corner. They're going Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. I think they need somebody opposite of Tre'Davious White and somebody who's going to be shut down. I mean, when you have a defense that has Jordan Poyer, Von Miller, and Tre'Davious White, I think with Von Miller on the field this year, it boosts that defense tremendously. He is automatically the captain of that defense and elevates the play of everybody around him. And Emmanuel Forbes is quick. He can shut dudes down, and I think this is the perfect pick for Buffalo. Day, what do you got for me?
Yeah, didn't they lose a defensive back in free agency?
Maybe.
I think it was last, not this offseason, but the
Am I
offseason
mixing them?
before.
Yeah, I still like the pick. I don't know. I just think that they could have some help in the secondary, and I don't know where else you really could go except for D line to help that team. So let's go with that.
All right, Coach Red.
No love for first round pick going into year 2, Kyer Elam, I guess. Corner out of Florida from last year.
Yeah.
I think this is a spot that I've seen linebacker kind of looked at. I think that, them losing Edmonds to the Bears, that kind of leaves a spot next to Matt Milano.
That's who they lost.
That could be a big hole for them, or, potentially dipping in to. You guys kind of did a run on the wide receivers there, so there's not a good one there. But this is another Jahmyr Gibbs spot because they're just playing musical chairs at running back with this organization. And I think that Josh Allen has come out and stated it, and I think they're going to abide by it. He's like, I can't keep running forever. We've got to get a run game going. So I think that if you would have said, injury insurance for Tre'Davious White, who hasn't been healthy for a full season for the last 2 years, I feel a lot better about the pick. But since you were gauging it as a guy to start across from, I think that they like what they got in Kyer Elam. But I think this is a good spot.
They're not frozen.
I'm back.
Pick 28. This kind of gets repetitive for the Bengals, but a guard out of Florida, Osiris Torrance. I believe the Bengals had a high sack rate last year.
Oh yeah,
They're like top two. They weren't two. They need help. They went out and signed a bunch of guys last offseason, and they still were top 5 in sacks.
Well, they did throw the bag at was it Orlando Brown?
Yep.
So why not add to that defensive front or that offensive front? Keep Joe Burrow up because Joe Burrow's, let's just be honest here, he's fantastic, and whenever he has time in the pocket, he makes things happen. And I just think that if you bolster this offensive line, this team is going to be insane this year. Coach Red.
This is another, I keep bringing up Jahmyr Gibbs, but I think this is a big spot that you could see, especially with Joe Mixon off the field issues a little bit this year. P. Ryan, I believe, signed elsewhere. So that secondary back would be a really good spot for him here. Potentially tight end because you don't have a proven guy on this team. I think they got Herb Smith Jr. Signed this offseason. I think that their defense plays well enough and their D coordinator schemes things up so well. I think whoever they're putting out there does pretty well. That's shown by, Trey Flowers and Eli Apple playing meaningful snaps in the Super Bowl and not doing not doing as bad as you would have expected with those two. So I think they can get a lot out of that defense. I just say before you have to give the bag to Burrow and Chase and a lot of people on this team, give Burrow every single weapon at his disposal, because when their offense is humming, they are very tough to beat.
Yes. All right, pick number 29. We're going down to New Orleans. They're going to take Tyree Wilson, edge rusher out of Texas Tech. Oh, God damn it. Am I back? Am I good?
Yep.
All right. Tyree Wilson is very, very explosive. And I believe they have Davenport and Cam Jordan still.
Davenport's gone.
Oh, well, they needed a
He never worked out for him.
Oh, well, oh yeah, didn't he go to Minnesota? Something like that?
I don't remember.
No. Oh, well, but Tyree Wilson will be kind of the front of that defensive front there, and I really think that this team needs an edge rusher to put some pressure on quarterbacks, especially in a toss-up division in the NFC South. So get your defensive priorities straight, because the offense isn't bad on this team.
It's only led by Jameis, don't worry.
Derek Carr.
That is Derek Carr's
right.
team now. So,
like I said, I'm tired. Yeah, I like this pick. They need some help on that D line, and with this, I think, like Kane said, with it being a toss-up division, one win here, one win there against division team could win them and get them into the playoffs. So any little bit of help on the defense out gets them across the line.
Coach Red.
Frozen again. If Tyree Wilson is somehow still on the board, the Saints should tear an ACL sprinting this card. I've seen some talk out there just because of the athletic profile that Tyree Wilson has and some production that he's had at Texas Tech. People are saying that although Will Anderson is the safer pick early in the draft, Tyree Wilson could be a better pro in the long run. And I think that this could be a good spot, especially for the team that went up for Marcus Davenport. I think you have a little bit less raw traits, but less raw production that you were looking for in Marcus Davenport, because he was toolsy as all get out. And I think that you want to pair someone with Cam Jordan because he's not going to be around for much longer.
I agree with that. Pick number 30.
Pick 30. The Eagles take John Michael Schmitz out of Minnesota.
Yep, they do. Oh, are we frozen again? God, I don't know what's up with my internet today.
Line.
All right, I'm back. Hello. Okay. I like this pick here for the simple fact is you have a Hall of Fame center. You can maybe slot him in at a different spot in this offensive line, and you're learning from one of the best to ever do it. Jason Kelsey's not going to be around forever, and this could be the next guy you slot in right there. Coach Red.
That's so 2 years ago, because they did that with Landon Dickerson. He's playing guard for him right now. That is kind of the heir apparent. Then you've got, I'm going to butcher this name, but it's Saya Melifalua or whatever, all-pro guard. I think that if I were looking, I would probably look more towards a tackle in this spot to take down, to be that next bridge, because you do have that with Landon Dickerson, who's been playing guard for them, that was a center coming out of Alabama. So this is a spot too where I could see, them really trying to attack wide receiver 3 with a guy that's kind of fringy, like Josh Downs out of North Carolina.
All right. Last pick of the draft. Am I here? I'm here now, right? Yeah. All right. Last pick of the draft. Kansas City Chiefs are taking Will McDonald, the fourth, out of Iowa State. They have a lot of mix in play on their edge or on their defensive line, and I think you can move people accordingly. But I just think that you're going to bolster this D line, and they're going to fly around the field and get a lot of sacks in the coming year. So Will McDonald is the pick for me here at 31. Day. Give us your last thoughts.
Yeah, I just think it's a good pick for them, pairing with Chris Jones. And again, just try it. If he does end up producing, it frees up Chris to hopefully not be doubled as much and make it easier for him.
Coach Red.
Yeah, I think this is a good guy to pair as well because I think they got George Karlaftis last year. And with Frank Clark leaving, with them cutting ties with Frank Clark, they're going to need some guys to get after the quarterback to help alleviate the pressure off Jones. And I think Karlaftis played pretty well, had good production at Purdue when he was coming out, but he didn't test super well. And I think McDonald gives you a little bit more of that higher level athletic profile. And he's a guy that I've seen who at the beginning of the cycle was looked at as a mid-second round guy and has been working his way into first-round contention the whole cycle.
Yeah, nothing wrong with adding something to your Super Bowl caliber team already. But that is our mock draft. We're going to wrap this up. It went a little long. If you're watching over on YouTube, go ahead and leave a like on the video. Comment. Tell us what your mock is. Let us know your thoughts and opinions on that. Also, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification so you know when our videos go live. If you're listening over on Spotify, go ahead and leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. If you got any improvements, just let us know. We'll try to fix it and make it better.
Audio for Kate.
Yeah, I got to reset my internet. Sorry.
I don't know what happened. It was fine all weekend. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, I'll tell you where we can find us one more time. You can find me on Twitter at Kane2406, on YouTube at Kane06, and TikTok and Twitch at Kane0624. Day, tell us where you're at one more time.
He's frozen for me. I'm sorry.
Well, I did my whole thing. Go ahead.
You can find me on Twitter at RealDayGaming1. Follow the show on Twitter, the Kane and Day Show. Coach Red, you got any special shout-outs?
Yeah, to myself. You can find me on Twitter at The Real Coach Red, on Instagram at The Real_Coach Red, or on YouTube at Kicking It with Coach Red.
Well, we appreciate you coming out, being our draft expert here. We'll see how we stand when the draft comes. We're probably only going to get like 3 or 4, which that's better than last year.
Can't be worse than last year.
That's true.
I think the other thing too is if you guys look at it too, it's so tough because especially with doing like a no trades, you know that there's going to be movement up and down. I think that looking at it with players fits on teams and if they end up there or potentially who you guys picked that ended up falling within the first round, because this cycle has been odd from start to finish. I've seen usually you see about 40 to 50 guys that have worked their way into reputable guys mock drafts for the first round. I think that you're 55 plus this year. There is so many guys up and down the board that I've seen coming in and coming out of this first round, and it's going to be wild on Thursday, and I'm all for it.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being here. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for us today. I am Kane, and this is Day, and we'll talk to you guys next time.